Got it.
They,
And what are you yourself, by the way, just out of curiosity?
well, I'm a physicist, so I don't believe in God.
You don't believe in
No.
God. Okay, so you're that's great to know. That's where you're leaning, because you're neutral. You're right here. You're not making anybody happy.
No.
Okay.
No.
So you're not an agnostic. You're an atheist.
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay, that's good to know. Rob, can you do me a favor? Let's bring it up to now. President Trump yesterday is being interviewed. I believe he's on Air Force One, and he's being interviewed, and he's being asked about what's going to happen with Iran. Here's his response. And I want to get your answers on should America intervene or not, and if no or yes, why? Go ahead, Rob.
We have a big force going toward Iran. I'd rather not see anything happen, but we're watching them very closely. I saw 837 hangings on Thursday. They would have been dead. Every one of them would have been hung. This is like from 1,000 years ago. This is an ancient culture. Very smart people, by the way, but it's an ancient culture. 837, mostly young men, were going to be hung on Thursday. And I said, if you hang those people, you're going to be hit harder than you've ever been hit. It'll make what we did to your Iran nuclear look like peanuts. And an hour before this horrible thing was going to take place, they canceled it. And they actually said they canceled it. They didn't postpone it. They canceled it. So that was a good sign. But we have an armada. We have a massive fleet heading in that direction. And maybe we won't have to use it. We'll see.
Okay, so should the U.S. intervene or should they not? Why not? Amir?
Definitely it should happen. And we are not talking about boots on the ground. Nobody's talking about that. But attacking the institution of this regime, think the same as 12 Days War. Israel could just continue that until the end of that regime. When President Trump at the 13th day just called Benjamin Netanyahu and asked him to for the ceasefire. For the ceasefire decision, it was just President Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The Iranian regime was not involved at all. And President Trump decided to do that, and he mentioned that it's because they didn't want to see chaos. Our opposition should be ready to introduce the alternative. And we were not, I guess, ready to just give President Trump a good option. And the options have been out. President Trump didn't like those options as alternatives. And that was the problem. And it's definitely U.S. should go and hit. President Trump, when he was mentioning about 870 some people supposed to be hanged and they didn't, the case is, I'm sure President Trump will get more information about that. We got it sooner because we are directly in touch with the people inside Iran. Our family is there, our friends are there, and we can get the information a lot faster than CIA even. And we know that all those people, most of them, they are already dead. They are dead under torture. They are not hanged. Regime said, okay, we are not hanging them, but we are killing them under torture. And they did it. And the number, 870 some people, we are talking about, confirmed up to now, at least 70,000 people, protesters, have been killed in the street brutally. They were beheaded. They were shot in certain area, which those animals inside the IRGC and Basij, they wanted to torture people to death to make sure they will suffer and die in the street. And we have seen a lot of these videos. The videos are coming right now, and I'm sure President Trump will get all the reports about that after he arrived from Switzerland. And his position will be a lot more stronger against that regime. All the equipments are there right now. And I'm pretty sure President Trump is going to hunt the supreme leader and to destroy everybody who have been involved in that bloodbath, which is unheard of in human history. That level of brutality happened in just 48 hours, 2 weeks ago. And yes, definitely US should hit them. During the Midnight Hammer, it was amazing job of President Trump and US Army, US Air Force, the B-2 bombers, which President Trump loves those and have the model of it on his desk. And yeah, we need something like that on Supreme Leader's bunker. And definitely it should happen. And I'm sure Israelis, they are helping to locate Supreme Leader right now to make American job a lot easier. And all the IRGC and Basij stations should be hit. The entire regime's missiles facilities all around the country should be hit. At the same time, and Israel said they are capable to do that, and I'm sure they are capable to do that with the help of US Army. It should happen definitely. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We need to think about and talk about the next step, which in our organization, National Iranian Congress, for years we have been talking about today and what should be next. But Patrick, I want to go back just for briefly to disagree with all the respect with Dr. Kangarloo regarding Islam. Islam is not reformable. It's impossible. To me, as an ex-Muslim, Islam is not a religion. Islam is a virus. It's a virus. You cannot go and negotiate with the virus and say, oh, okay, please just kill a little softer. And the Islam has its own constitution. It's called Quran. The constitution, you cannot change Quran. The Quran is there. Islam is the religion, they are saying, to govern. Christianity is not like that. You cannot find any other religion to say, we are here to govern. They are saying we are here to guide the people toward God. Am I right? Islam is the only one says we are here to govern. And look at Prophet Muhammad. They are calling it Prophet Muhammad. I'm not calling him. I want to use the word Charlie Kirk used for Muhammad. A pedophile, a warmonger pedophile. That's his story. And they are saying Sunnat, Muhammad's Sunnah. What was the Muhammad's Sunnah? To killing everybody? To start killing from his cousins, his family members, raping the girls at the age of 6. They're saying, oh, that was not 6, that was 9. Oh, just how shameless you are. And then to going and kill the entire Jewish population in a Jewish town called Yasrib, which they welcomed him. And then Muhammad, after killing all the Jewish, mass murdering them, then changed the name of the town to Madinatun Nabi. And they are doing exactly the same thing. They have done it then to Iran. With who? Ali have done it. The head of Shiaism. I don't believe Iranian made Shiaism to just bring some type of civil war inside Islam. No, Shiaism, Iranian have been fighting with Islam all these last 1400 years. And let's go back to Montesquieu as the last point on this subject. Montesquieu said in his book, The Spirit of the Laws, he said, we have 3 types of government. He said, either we have republic, or we have monarchy, or we have despotic. It's one of these 3. Any governments in the world can be subject of one of these 3. And Montesquieu said, the monarchists in the world, he says, the Christian Catholics, they are going for monarchy, normally. It's in his book, The Spirit of the Laws. And he said, Christian Protestants, they are going for republic. And you know, when he was saying that in his book, we didn't have republic in the world. 40 years later, the first constitutional republic came up from a Protestant nation, America. And Montesquieu was right. And the third one, Montesquieu said, Islam just brings despotic dictatorship. And he said, you cannot fix it. Because Islam, in its own nature, is about dictatorship. And Montesquieu is talking a lot about Quran, about the way Islam teaches, and says, it's impossible with Islam, you can get anything but dictatorship. These are part of the spirit of the laws that it's missing in all of our law schools. We should find out why, but that's true.
Where do you stand with this?
I think the story of human beings is the story of life in nature. Nature is not hospitable to life. In this vast universe of ours, we still, and we've looked a lot, we still haven't found another form of life. So for all practical purposes, as far as we can see, we are the only form of life, at least in the Milky Way galaxy. And the reason for that, the reason why life is such an unlikely thing is because nature is not favored for the formation of life. Nature is very inhospitable to life. So we have to work against these laws of nature, which all are stacked against us from the environment. You know that, let me give you a simple example. The Earth, the third rock from the sun, right? The sun is a furnace that's creating nuclear particles, right? The sun, what we call the sun, is made of hydrogens that is constantly converting to helium. Very simple. Two hydrogens combined make helium. In the process, they create light, which we get from the sun, but a lot of very harmful nuclear particles, the so-called solar winds, and they're all flowing towards the Earth. There is this little weak magnetic field that surrounds the Earth, right? These secret and hidden and invisible magnetic field lines around the Earth, they capture all these harmful particles that come from the sun, and they start circling around these magnetic field lines, and they're pushed towards the North Pole. And at the North Pole, they collide and they create what we call aurora. Aurora australis in the south, in the Antarctica, and aurora borealis in the north. If it wasn't for the magnetic field lines, life would have never formed on this planet. So life is a very unlikely, low probability thing to happen. And humans, as they evolved on this planet, they had to put up with this unfavorable and inhospitable environment. One of the things that we had to put up with is, in every human being, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, there are these three questions that are circling in our head. The three questions, they're fundamental existential questions. When I tell you those questions, you might say, it has never occurred to me, but it's happening in the back of your head, and it guides everything in your life. Those three questions are, where we came from, what is the purpose to life, and how is it all going to end? Different people come up with different solutions and different answers to this question, right? And these questions, we can go back 10,000 years, 100,000 years, and we can look into different answers that human beings have come up with, and they're wondering, what are we doing on this planet? We are constantly dealing with existential crisis. And religion is the best answer that human beings came up to give an answer to those three existential questions. Where did we come from? 2,000, 10,000 years ago. The best question, the best answer they could come up with was, there must be a creator, because everything else that we see around us has a creator. This table was built by someone, TV was built by someone else. So based on a very primitive experience that we have in our life, we came up with the idea of the creator. So that's exactly where we were looking for a solution, is where the problem starts. The problem, we basically switch, we trade one problem with another problem. So all religions really were a I don't want to call it a miserable attempt, but a desperate attempt by human beings to answer those fundamental questions. Christianity, Islam, Judaism, they all came up with their own version of, there is this old man with the white beard in the sky who created the world, out of 6 days from the rib of the Adam and Eve, and all of that story, those stories. And but one thing that these religions had in common is that the source of right and the source of power is God. And anyone on earth who is entitled to power or captures power should have some kind of a relationship or some kind of authorization from him. So the source of power was God, the source of right was God. This happened until Reformation in Europe, and what Reformation led into Enlightenment, and Enlightenment led into Industrial Revolution, and then here we are. So in Enlightenment, these brilliant European thinkers like Kant and Montesquieu, they said, wait a minute, why should right belong to God? What if God didn't exist? Nobody has really seen this God. We have learned enough about human capability that we should really say right belongs to humans, not belongs to God. The basis of democracy, liberal democracy, all the industrial progress, all the economic success is that, where we went from the source of God, the source of power is God, and his representatives on earth are entitled to rule over the people's life, to this new idea that right belongs to humans. The right belongs to human is at the basis of human right, democracy, and liberal democracy. What does liberal democracy? Liberal democracy means human beings are free. They have to be liberated from the constraints. From whose constraints? From God's constraint, because he is the biggest concentrator of human being. He is the one who is constantly limiting our freedom. He is the one who says, the people who are serving me, the ayatollahs and the clergy and the pope and all of those, and the priests, they have certain right and they should have a certain position in society that entitles them to all the atrocities that they did during the Reformation and during the Pope's role in Europe and during the Ayatollah's rule in Iran. So what Europeans discovered, that going from the right belongs to God to the right belongs to humans.
What I don't want to do is I don't want to go too deep into religion. I want to stay on the topic of Iran. So
it is.
If you want to go to the point of Iran, because the question was, should U.S. intervene? Will they? And then I know he kind of threw you off because he debated the religion thing.
That was my fault.
But if you want to stay on that topic, because
Right.
then we have 1 hour left here. So I want to make sure we address those
Right.
issues.
So the reason why I gave you this 5-minute comparison between Christianity and Islam and the roots of how liberal democracies and democracy and reformation really happen in Europe and is happening in the Middle East now, I think the players in what's happening in the Middle East, they have no options. Ayatollah Khamenei has no option but continuing on his path, because he received his authority and his mandate from being an Ayatollah, the representative of God on earth. And if he switches side tomorrow, nobody believes that he believes in the human right and he is going to denounce his God. Because going from representation of God on earth to a liberal Democrat, it means you have to first do one thing, what Amir already did, denouncing God, right?
When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury, we had the choice to make it fast. We had the choice to make it cheap. We chose neither. Instead, we chose Tuscany, Italy. We chose true Italian craftsmanship, each pair touched by 50 skilled hands. We chose patience, spending 2 years perfecting every detail, and we chose the finest quality at every step. Introducing the Future Looks Bright collection. Not rushed, not disposable, not ordinary. Rather, intentional, luxurious, timeless. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.